Hi, I'm Alexa Ray Corriea, and this is the Game Maker's Notebook podcast. Today's guest needs no introduction. It's Jennifer English. She just played Myel in the critically acclaimed Expedition 33. We talked about her upbringing, her background as a theater kid, how she got the role of Shadowheart, how Shadowheart prepared her for Myel, and dug into Myel's development and what it was like playing her. If you haven't played Expedition 33 yet, if you haven't finished the game, you might want to wait to listen to this one, but if not, dive right in. Please enjoy.
Lumia is not my home. Not the way it is for you.
Having second thoughts about the expedition?
Please. I'm more ready to go than you are.
The rest of us only have a year left, but you've got 9 good years before your gommage. You don't need to leave yet.
1 year out there is better than 9 years in here. The dance begins. En garde! Precise strike! Finesse and grace. How can you keep going like nothing happened?
Jennifer English, how did you get here? How did you get here in the games industry? Hello. Making video games, acting. How'd you get
went
here?
straight in there. Like there
Jump
was
right at the beginning.
messing about, Alexa. I love that. Okay, how did I get into it? Kind of by happy accident. I trained in theatre, and that's all I did and all I wanted to do. I wasn't interested in anything else. I was like, I am a serious Shakespearean actress. And then I realised that I couldn't afford to do theatre because it's paid so badly. And so I thought, I like reading. I will do some audiobooks. That can be a nice earner. And then did 1 or 2 and hated it so deeply, but because I couldn't concentrate for that amount of time and I found it dreadfully lonely. And then I think I can't remember how it all happened, but I got an audition through from having a voice reel and stuff for Divinity Original Sin. No, actually, first it was Augmented Empire, which has Kate Mulgrew and Nick Frost in it, and it's a VR game. And I played the lead in that. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I love this. And I got to record with Amelia, as in the narrator of Baldur's Gate 3. And she played my mum, and we were in the studio together, which is a really rare thing, I realise now.
Yeah.
And I was just hooked, and then got Divinity Original Sin, played a bazillion NPCs, including ones that have full-on conversations with each other. And I got to like practice every accent I could do. And I was like, great, this is the best fun. I love it. And then Baldur's Gate 3 came along, and the rest is history. But I'm now a baby gamer. And have now started absolutely nerding out and catching up on all my adulthood, like the lost time of not playing games as an adult. So now I'm like fully in it.
What are you
fully there?
What do you like? What did you, when you jumped in, what did you start with, and what are you playing now?
So started with Baldur's Gate 3. That was my favorite.
Wow.
It's quite a good game to start with, right? And now I'm really expanding my repertoire. I've been enjoying so much because I've got a Switch now. Spent all my money. I've got a Switch, I've got a Steam Deck, and a PS5. So I'm just like
All the
Hello.
most expensive ones, yes.
All the most expensive ones. Yeah, my accountant's like, is this an expense?
Yes,
like,
it's 100% an expense.
So I'm really enjoying Final Fantasy IX at the moment. Yeah, I'm loving it.
Oh my gosh,
And
9.
like,
You said the
really
magic word. Yes.
that was the one that Ben Starr told me to play. He was like, it was like a personality test. And he was just like,
9.
this is what you should start with. So I don't know why, but he's right. And I completely love it.
I'm shocked he didn't make you play 8 first. That's a offline story, but yes.
Yeah. He loves 8. I know that. But no, he'd suggested 9 for me, and he's completely right. I adore it. And I'm seeing all the Expedition 33 influences as well with Final Fantasy. So now I'm like, okay, I have to play all the Final Fantasies.
Oh yeah, no, 9 is good, and then we'll talk about it later. But I think you should play 6 next.
Ooh.
Anyway,
Right.
So you're a theater kid. We have talked on this podcast about the theater kid to game dev pipeline so often. It feels like we kind of like end up in here.
Yeah.
So when you trained for theater, like what kind of training did you do? Was there any specific like technique? You said you did Shakespeare. Shakespeare was like,
Yes. So a lot of, as you probably know, a lot of drama schools in the UK, it's very classical based. So we start off, you start off with storytelling, and like I've always said, if I wasn't an actor, I would be some kind of storyteller. It's just that that's the only talent I have. If I could write, I would write. If I could draw, I would draw. But I just found this is very natural to me. So you start off with very basic storytelling. It's literally like, I am a tree stuff, because, that is storytelling. We did Tales of Ovid. That's bad. I don't know how to say it. And then you move up. They let you progress through. So then you do, I think, Shakespeare, and then you're onto your like Strindbergs and your Chekhovs. And yes, but it's mainly about the voice for the first couple of years. Like you do breathing for the first 3 months. And then they allow you to make sounds. Like it's very comprehensive. And where I went to drama school, it was right next to, I went to drama school in Birmingham, and that was next to Stratford. It's, not far at all. And so a lot of our teachers cross-pollinated with them. So we were going to the RSC, the Royal Shakespeare Company, every week, and watching all the rep shows there, and just really immersing ourselves in that. And of course, I've done Shakespeare once since I graduated, and now I'm like, I miss it. But yeah, as I say, like theatre feels quite far from me now. I'd love to do it again. Saying that, I feel like games, there's a reason why so many theatrically trained actors do go into games. It really lends itself to that. Especially because we're dealing with such huge themes, which Shakespeare also deals with. So yeah, it's like I would not be able to do the job I do without that. For me, but without that training. So very lucky that I got to do that.
Is there anything from your training that you pull from when you're preparing for a role or when you're warming up? Like, how does that background serve you?
Everything. So for me, I don't have, there's a lot of actors. I can't remember who I heard talking about this. It might have been Kate Blanchett recently. I love nerding out on hearing other actors talking about their work. I find it fascinating. But there are actors who have a very specific like method, and they're Stanislavski till they die, or Lee Strasberg or whoever it is. I am a lot more. I like tapas. I like mixing it up. I like going, okay, because every character is different, and everything I need to do is different for each character, because some characters you don't immediately click with, like I certainly didn't with Shadowheart. And so I really had to dig deep at the beginning. And then I found her and I was laughing. But like I really had to find something for her physically and emotionally. Whereas for Myel, I didn't need to do that. Like she made sense to me straight away. And that's not to say that character I preferred to the other. It's right. Just different. It's like choosing your siblings or something. But Although you do sometimes have favorites, whatever. Yeah, I mean, those two are my favorites. I'm not going to lie. And so yeah, every preparation is different. I mean, I try to, my main thing is I approach every script like a detective. So my girlfriend literally bought me a pipe, like a Sherlock Holmes pipe.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But not like focus smoke it. It's mainly for like ADHD stimming. But yeah, and I'll sit there and smoke my pipe. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I do know that. But no, and I go through and I try and ask as many questions as I can and just get to know the character and their timelines and like map their thoughts and try and figure out what's the subtext is. I mean, that's always my thing, is we never say things explicitly, you know. It's never like, even parry it, you know, which is one of Myelle's lines. There's so much going on underneath that. There's fear and frustration, and it's about going, okay, what is she really meaning? She's not just instructing, she's warning, or she's you know, reprimanding, you know, like there's always something going on behind those lines, and that's my favorite juicy thing to nerd out about.
It's interesting you say that for Shadowheart, that you kind of had to really dig to find her. That was your BAFTA breakthrough character. Yeah. So I would love to, like, before we obviously, like, I could go into the weeds in Expedition 33 and spoil it. For Shadowheart, I want to talk a little bit about your what's your audition story for her? Because it's your award character. So what was your audition like? Like, how did you find her? And like, how did you eventually find her?
So I didn't audition for Shadowheart specifically. I was given a pack of all these different races, and I was auditioning for NPCs in this big game. So I had no idea I was auditioning for a lead. Like, I was literally like, I thought it was going to be exactly the same as Divinity, where I just played several different characters, right? So I auditioned for like a goblin, like, and I did like my little like Cockney accent, and because it was a mocap audition as well, it was full bodied, and you know, tried to find that, and then did something aristocratic for another, and you know, just like did a mixture. And then I got a call saying, oh no, they want you for a lead. This will be a year. This will be a year, probably about 20 hours. I remember that, and I remember thinking, that's loads. I'll maybe be able to make my rent. Over a year, and it felt like this big deal, but I didn't really know who Shadowheart was. I got like a tiny description, and I think it was something along the lines of she's this worshipper, she's like very soldier like, or like she's a warrior type person. She's very aloof, she's quite guarded, and she can be very like standoffish. And I was like, I'm sorry, like, I think you've got the wrong person, because I'm here like a little puppy, like, and I'm usually playing kids as well. Like, I quite often will play a teenager, and very like playful, like silly roles. So I was like, why have I been cast as this very stoic woman? And it wasn't until I found out more about the story and worked with incredible directors that helped me discover who she actually was, and got to read more of John Corker's incredible writing, that I understood her. But I for the first few weeks, I was like, what? Can I swear on him?
Yes.
What the fuckity fuck? Like, I don't understand. And I just felt like a fraud for a very long time. And then, of course, we get to know Shadowheart as we do in the game, and you go, oh yeah, no, I get it now. You were right. Well done.
Yeah. Well, again, like, congrats on that. BAFTA breakthrough is a pretty big deal, but we're here today because you are in Expedition 33. I want your audition story. I want the play-by-play of how you got the role of Myel. I want the lore.
So the lore is, I You're right there. My girlfriend's like standing in the background looking very smug about this story. So I got the audition through and read everything about it. And I like, you know, just to be clear, I don't get a lot of auditions. I think people thought after Baldur's Gate 3 we'd be inundated with offers. And I think people think that, and it's just not the case. Like, the industry just doesn't work like that, unfortunately. But I got this audition through, and I was like, oh my God, an audition for a start. And then I was like, oh, I love this. And I think we got the some of the artwork through. I don't think we got the full script at that point. Can't remember, but I do remember reading the description and going, holy hell, this is amazing. I want to be a part of this. And so I did, I got it all through and had a good read and had a good prep, and then completely forgot about it. And it was due for 9 a.m. the next morning, and this is 2 a.m. in the morning, and I go, fuck, shit. Wake up my poor girlfriend who was asleep in bed. I am in my pajamas, and I go, darling, like, I'm really sorry. Can you just read in for me? Because usually they're solo auditions. You'll get like a line by line thing that doesn't make sense, and you just have to guess it. This was a really beautiful scene, and I think I'm allowed to say it was the scene between Myel and Gustav when they're skimming stones. So like a perfectly written scene. And so bless Alyona going, okay, I'll read this part. And I just sat on my bed and did it at 2 a.m, sending it off going, yeah, there it is. It's on time. It was on time. And then got an email saying, yeah, cool, come in. So that's my audition.
Wow.
Very unprofessional. Put reminders in your phone, but you know.
Unprofessional is subjective. It's fine.
Yes.
I empathize with the like, oop, it's due at 9 a.m. Got to write it at 2 a.m. So I feel you. Yeah. So you were a just blind audition. Yeah. I've read all of the stories about how so many, like Jennifer Sedgwick, the writer, was found on Reddit. People sort of found each other online. So it feels very serendipitous that you all ended up together.
Yeah.
For Shadowheart, you did mocapping, but for Myel, you did the voiceover.
Yeah. So everything was kind of there when we got into the booth. So the beautiful mocap was already done, and I think even the music we got to listen to, which, I mean, as shortcuts go, like Florian's music is obviously next level. So that, and all the cinematics, all the animation. So we just came in and did our job. We had to do it in time to the mouth movements, and obviously, you know, like that had already been done, and that is such a delightful challenge, because you're not only investing all of your emotions into it and trying to get to the emotional heart of things, whilst also having this technical challenge of getting the pauses in the right place. And like, it is acting on crack. It really is hard. So that was a nice challenge. Yeah.
Was this one of those games where you were alone in the booth, kind of with the spreadsheet of death, or did you get to interface? Like, did you get to record with any of the other actors at all?
No, but we did no recording with the other actors. But it wasn't too spreadsheet of deathy, because Jen had formatted. So we got given the script just before recording, and you know, it was written like a cinematic script. It was written like a screenplay, which was so accessible, because quite often you do get spreadsheets of death that just make absolutely no sense.
Sorry about that.
But the way she formatted just was really wonderful, because I just read it. Like, I think I just sat down and read it all in one, because it was so engaging and thrilling. Like, I read like a fantasy thriller on paper. So so it didn't feel as sideswipey as some audition as some recording sessions do. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so it was on our own, but we quite often, I'd say about 50% of the time, depending on who was in first, we got to hear each other's performance.
Okay.
So that was a really wonderful thing to play off someone like Charlie Cox or Ben or Kirsty Ryder. Like that just feeds into your form. You're just responding really to their beautiful work. So I was very lucky with that. Thank God they were in.
So you got the opportunity. You came in and you were recording, and they had already recorded some stuff. So you got to play off them, versus them coming in and kind of like they were first, and then you got to come in and build.
It was about 50%, so
Okay.
so about half the scenes, because sometimes I would be in first, and they'd have to work with the shit that I gave. Poor them. No,
not at all.
But I'm British. We have to be self-effacing. Yeah. So yeah, it was about half the time. Which is quite nice to be able to start it without them sometimes, because you're just like, well, I get to steer this ship. Thank you very much. Ben, you have to match my tone this time. Yeah.
How long were you in the booth for Myel? Was it like was it a year? Was it?
No idea. It was quite off and on. So I actually don't know. That's a really good question. It was over a few months. I remember that. And like you'd have spurts of loads and then a little break, like as it always is. But it wasn't like solid 9 to 5 for 3 weeks, but these things never are. It's very rare that I've done like a solid week of recording. It will be, 3 or 4 a week or something. So yeah, I think it was over a few months as far as I can remember. But then I've got no concept of time, so don't trust me on that one.
Same. How did you prepare once you knew you were playing her and you were getting ready to record? Like, what were your inspirations for her? Where did you draw from? You mentioned that Shadowheart, you did a lot of digging, but Myel seems like you've really clicked with her. So what was the prep process like to play her?
I think for me, it was actually finding a physical, like, even though I wasn't recording the mocap, it doesn't matter. Like, I kind of approach every role in a similar way, in that I find the character's physicality. So for me, it was, even though you don't see it, it's finding the way she moves, because then that for me informs the voice. And knowing that she was younger, like there is a lighter quality to her voice than mine naturally. So yeah, it was finding it, for me, it was really thinking through her journey from childhood to where she is now, and trying to imagine. It's all imagination work, right? It's kind of like being a kid in a story, in a make believe game, for a video game. You know what I mean? So for me, it's really getting her view on things and her view on life. Like there's a lot of the work that I do was based on Actor in the Target by Declan Donnellan, and he talks about kind of, we can't change ourselves, but we can see how our characters see the world. So, for me, I'm looking at my yellow chair there, and that is a chair for reading and comfort, and that is something cozy, but someone else might see that as something awkward and uncomfortable, brings back bad memories, So for me, it's about finding how Myel sees this world that she lives in, and her relationship to everyone, and her relationship to the events that are happening. And I find it's completely helped by this magical writing of Jen and Guillaume, that there's such a humanity to her. There's something so unsentimental at the beginning that I find really fascinating, where she's talking to Gustav right at the beginning, and she's just like, okay, Sophie's dying today, That's just a fact for her. And that is not how I would be, because I cry all the time. So it's going, okay, she sees that situation completely differently to how I would see it. I would be on the floor crying because that's how I see the world. Like I feel things very deeply in that way, like whereas she wouldn't because of her previous circumstances. So it's just finding those differences and finding that perspective, essentially.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say thinking about her childhood, because technically she has two.
Yeah. That makes things complicated.
Yeah. So you mentioned, you tend to play a lot of younger characters. So you're playing essentially not just a 16-year-old girl. You're technically two versions of a 16-year-old girl. So knowing that that's your process, how did you find both of them, Myel and Alicia? Like, how did you differentiate? How did they grow together? Like, where did you find that?
I kind of had to see them of two sides of the same coin. Like they do feel completely different to me, but also, of course, we know that there is like this core. But again, it kind of goes back to those perspectives, and their perspectives, while they still have this like inner core soul, which is, as far as I'm as an actor concerned, is kind of just me. Like I kind of have to see myself as that core thing, because I'm not, like, I can't fully change who I am as an actor. Like there is a reason, like I always bring myself to the role. So that is that kind of inner column, as it were. But they see the world very differently. And so they did feel very different. And I'll be really interested. So I'm up to the end of Act 2. So I will be so interested to see it in the game as a player, because I find that really changes my perspective on my own performance. And I go,
really?
Oh, completely. Because I find it really hard to remember quite a lot. I'm quite immersed in it as a performer.
Yeah.
And then I go, oh shit, what did I do? And so I find it hard to, I don't know whether that's an ADHD thing or just a Gen thing, but I find it hard to remember a lot of what I've done in the booth. So I'm really like, okay, I'm going to see this now, and I'm going to go, oh yes. But yeah, I do remember that they feel entirely different, because they've lived, like, even though, as I say, that core column is the same, they've lived entirely different lives.
Yeah.
So, and obviously there are similarities, but I feel even with that, there are like key differences to who they truly are. And I find that like heartbreaking and beautiful in equal measure, that the same can be said for anyone, that you go, like, if you had a different circumstances, your vision of the world would be different, and you would behave in a different way. Maybe I'm wrong. That's kind of how I'm seeing it at the moment, in this point in time in my life. Especially in regards to like privilege or, childhood circumstances, or you really see how that shapes someone's view of the world. And so, yeah, I mean, this game is just full of that. Like I don't know about you, Alexa, but like playing it, I'm like questioning everything in my life. Like it throws these huge philosophical questions at us. Yep. And we've had just the best discussions at home from it. And I think a lot of people are having those questions, and exploring those questions. So I'm loving that.
To get a little personal on my Expedition 33 experience. So I identify very strongly with Myel. I have a very fraught relationship with my parents at this point in my life. And my mother is definitely the catalyst. So this idea of sort of the mother creating an alternate reality in which everything is okay and she has control of the situation, but it's all kind of spun out of her grief, and she doesn't really know how to interact with with Alicia Myel. So my mom doesn't really know how to interact with me. And so I was playing that. I got to the end of Act 2 into Act 3. And I was just like, is this fucking play about us? Like, is this like, it's like shit? Like, what is this? No, I think we are at a point in history where I think globally a lot of people in our age group can identify with, the way that parents' behavior affects them and how to deal with them. And, they think they know what's best, but we're growing up in a world that's so different from the world that they grew up in. So I am so just so complimentary of the writing and the way it all spins out. And it was very emotional. I had to put the controller down and walk away and be like, oh boy. But I think it's beautiful. Did you, when you were recording, was most of the script already written, or were Jen and Guion still working on it? Like, how did you interface with them? What was your collaboration like with them?
So the recording process was, thank you so much for sharing that, by the way. And I think that's as wanky as it sounds, like we are all storytellers, and every dev on this, like as technical as it is, like, even if they're like fixing bugs in the combat, like that is still part of the storytelling process. And all everyone wants is to create stories that people like either have a relationship with, whether that's like cathartic or like a level of understanding of themselves, or or inspiration, like. And I think that's beautiful, so thank you.
Thank you.
I was like, no, thank you. Throw the laptop in gratitude. So the collaboration, so they were there Jen and Guion were there the entire time. That is in person. That is so rare. I've never, I think one other game, I think the devs have been there, but like 9 times out of 10, they might be on Zoom or they might just not be there at all. And I just think it's such a testament to how much they cared about it. That they were willing to fly over to the UK, stay in a hotel or Airbnb or whatever it was, and be there for every session.
Wow.
And it was a fast recording process. It was really fast. You had to bring your A game to every session. And I think if I was less experienced, I'd be fucked. Truly. But it was a very it was really collaborative, and even though they both had a very clear vision, they were very flexible. And if I go, I really don't know if she would do it like that, I really want to try it this way, they would both go, yeah, absolutely, give that a go. And sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. But a lot of the time you don't get that. It's sometimes people are very much, it's my way or the highway. And we also had Joe from Side who was directing as well, and it was just this really safe, intellectual, emotionally intelligent space, and it was full of humor and passion and love, and it was one of the most creatively satisfying things I've ever done because of that. And that was their choice. And they invited a lot of the cast to dinner and took the time to get to know us and who we were as people, and like to feel valued and respected like that, when quite often, because games are usually on a larger scale, right? It's very rare that you work with such a small team, so they could do that. But whereas some games you just can't, and you've got teams that are in far away, and you just don't have that level of communication. But they just made such an effort, and it just led to brilliant work, I think, because when people are there injecting that love and positivity, of course you match that. I certainly do. And it was joyous. It was just joyous, start to finish. I loved it.
So it sounds like you had some, well, quite a bit of input in how Myel developed.
I think so. It's
Yeah.
always hard to. It's a really hard one to judge, especially when something is so fully cooked. I hope I did. I mean, I was really lucky that Charlotte, who did the mocap, made similar choices to what I would make. I think I'd really struggle if she was doing something physically and I'm like, no, that wouldn't work. Like that doesn't work. She wouldn't fall down at this point. She would stand up, or, you know, and I was truly lucky with that, because I could kind of go with her and like it kind of felt like a dance. You know, like I was kind of, my voice was dancing with her body and her face, and I could just kind of go with that like water. And so yeah, that was really lucky. It's so hard to tell how much of an influence I had, but like I just had to bring myself to it and my authenticity hopefully to it, and just get to the truth of Jen's incredible words. So yeah, it's so hard to tell. It's so hard. I can't really answer that one. But like, yeah, I hope that my truth and my acting and my emotions and my like love for it, hopefully that influenced her, just as it did for Adeline, who plays who did the French VO. But like, yeah.
So no, that's so lovely. I love something you said, your voice dancing with her body and her face. I think that's such a beautiful, like a very beautiful way to put it, but I know exactly what you mean when you say that like collaboration. So you've, a lot of times as a writer, we don't get to be in the booth with you, whether that's like time or it's just like the way things that shook out. So for you, having had this incredible experience, having the writers close at hand, for all of the people listening who can do that sort of thing, like what would your advice be to writers that want to come in and like physically work with actors? Like what can we do to work with better?
I think absolutely do it. I think Jen and Guillaume being there was everything, because if I had questions about the character, they were just there with those answers, because they knew their characters so well, and they knew that story and that world so well. I think it should be an expected thing, not a rare thing, because it is this juicy creative room. And I think quite often the like, I have experienced it before, where the actors feel like the last cog, and it's just like, oh, like that'll do, like put that on top at the end. And I think it, like, now I think people's relationship with the acting of games, and we've certainly seen that with Baldur's Gate 3, like it is such a core component. It's not just the last bit that you tack on at the end. And I think as much attention should be given to that as the animation, as the levels, you know. Like I think if you want an RPG that shines, if you want a story that shines, then that should be your focus, or a huge focus. And I do think writers should be there, even if it's like not an expected thing. Just ask, because most of the time people want the game to be better, right? And the actors will want you there. I think sometimes people, like, I don't know, knowing some writers, they're often quite introverted or like in their own head and think, I won't be useful. You will be useful. You will be useful there. Like, even if it's just to answer questions, like you don't have to control the whole thing. You can trust the process. But like the amount of times that I'm like, why is she saying that? I don't understand. And when you haven't got the writer there, you've just got to make it up. And quite often you're like at sea, and then you've got a less certain performance, you know, it really affects things. So please be there, writers, please. We love you.
I love hanging out in the booth myself.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something I like to do.
Yes,
So I'm going back to Myel's personality and kind of like the dueling, I almost said dueling dragons, the kind of like dueling
yeah.
pasts. You're in Act 2. I was going to ask about this thing that happens at the end when you have to make a decision, and she kind of goes two ways. When you were finding her and preparing for kind of that moment, because it's essentially, I imagine, for Shadowheart, where you had to record all these different relationship options, like Shadowheart developing in certain ways depending on the player choices. How did you approach preparing for these two scenes? Because those are very, very there's two ending options. The scenes are very, very strong. Like you and Ben acted the shit out of those. So I'd love to know more about those.
I think the key thing for us as actors is to never judge. Don't know why I went really mid-Lindsay there. Never judge. We can never judge our characters. I mean, you can. I'm sure people do. But like for me anyway, like it's about going, no, that is absolutely what they think is right. And I think regardless of the choice you make, like that is the intention. That is what they need in that moment. And so, yeah, like it wasn't like I was there going, that's a bit of a shitty choice, actually, player. Judgy there. So yeah, I just kind of approached both with the same kind of, not tenacity, that's not quite right, the right word, but the same like kind of certainty, and like as in of intention and what that scene emotionally needed. And it was just about connecting to the truth of either situation. So kind of like the same, like, I don't know, I didn't go, right, okay, I'm going to do this differently. Like I just kind of went with it. Yeah, both were difficult though. Like then like the acting challenge in this has been like phenomenal. Like so much like deep emotion, and as I said, like the speed at which we went at, like it just meant that there was no second guessing. There was no, like, I either had to dive full in or I just wouldn't have done the job I did. Do you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have done like something that I was proud of. Like I just had to fall head first, and it was terrifying, especially afterwards, because you have the biggest vulnerability hangover. And even now I'm like, did I fuck it up? Did I ruin it? Like,
what do you mean?
Because like, I think because I felt so close to Myel. I'm getting really personal, but like I felt so close to her, and I connected to so much of her that a lot of the time, like those were just my emotions, right? Like it was a very cathartic recording experience, and like when she's crying, I was crying. Like that wasn't a fake cry, like I was crying, and I was like connecting to part of myself. And I think because I just allowed that, it's like when you open up to someone new at a party and you're a bit drunk, and the night afterwards and the morning afterwards you're like, oh, I feel really vulnerable. It feels like that, and that vulnerability is still ongoing. And especially at the end of Act 2, like I remember coming away just being like, ooh, people are going to see that. And that's just me. That's me connecting with myself. And obviously it's Myel, but like I can't hide who I am. I can't fake that. I wish I could. It would be a lot more pleasant for me, probably. But like that is me just spilling my guts on the floor, and then millions of people, at least 2 million people, have seen that. And it's like
minimum 2 million people. Are you comfortable sharing what parts of her you really identified with?
Yeah, I'm an open book. A lot of the grief, and a lot of the loneliness, and feeling out of place. I universal themes. Like I doubt anyone's not experienced loss or feeling lonely or feeling like an outcast. And especially at that age. And I think a lot of people go to me like, oh, you must be fed up of playing like younger characters. And I'm like, no, because I feel like there's still part of me that like feels like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old still. Like there's still, and I think Jen's writing and Guillaume's world, like there's nothing about her that feels shallow. Right. And obviously she's not, because we've got that, as you say, those like dueling sides. But even Myel is pure Myel. Like she's so complex, as we are as teenagers. I think we all tend to look back nostalgically sometimes and go, oh yeah, life was simpler then. No, it wasn't. Do you remember how much pain you felt?
It was bad.
It was bad. Like I would never go back there. And you know, like when I was younger than Myel, but like as a teenager, like I was bullied, and I found life just very hard, very, very hard. And as so many, like, you know, I'm not on my own there, and I'm not like a giant victim here. Like a lot of us did. And I think a lot of us in the creative world and in gaming, like I feel like that is not an isolated experience at all. And it was quite frightening to go back there in a way, because like, yeah, there is that kind of push, like that kind of flashback feeling as an actor as well, where you're like, oh, I remember this and this hurt. And on the other hand, it was incredibly cathartic to go back there and to relive that and go, no, you're fine now, you're safe now, you're in a really lovely, loved place, and all is good. But you know, it's still, as I say, it's still hugely, and I don't know, I feel like actors don't talk about this, and maybe I'm just a sensitive Sally, which I fully am. I had like 3 cries this morning, but why? Because my book was sad. Okay, it was a really sad book. But like, yeah, I am sensitive, but like I feel like a lot of actors don't talk about this, but it hurts sometimes to go into those places, and that's okay, and sometimes that's healthy to feel those feelings. I always think it's healthy to feel feelings. Don't suppress them. But sometimes it feels nice to suppress them. So.
Just it's good. It's good creative fuel. I empathize as a writer. On the other side, very much empathize, finding all those feelings in your writing, and also being a teen girl is a horrific experience that
horrific.
I would never want to return to willingly.
Never. No. Oh, there was a really good film that I was watching. Oh, I can't remember. And I was like, yeah, no, it's awful. Never go back. Oh, I think I saw The TV Glow, and I don't know if you've seen that film, but fantastic. Highly recommend it. And that kind of, again, that feeling of isolation and not knowing who you are, and especially as a like young queer person as well, and neurodiverse, like it's horrible, but how wonderful that we can explore that through art and stories, and we can all connect to that and things. So well done, Jen. Thanks.
Well done,
Jen
Jen.
and Guillaume. Charging therapist.
I beat the game, and I had therapy the next day, and I spent my entire therapy session talking about this game. So and the therapist was like, oh, I've been trying to get you to learn this for 2 years, and you just play one video game, and now all of a sudden, oh, okay, now you understand.
Now you get it.
Thanks, Doc. The cool thing about Expedition 33 is we have this wonderful teen girl angst, and then we have women in their 30s angst. So it's like both the most difficult parts of my life. I get to play through both at the same time, which is so incredible. This is such a sidebar question, but who are you romancing? Can I know?
I kind of both at the moment. I've turned down Ciel twice, because I'm like, and it's really hard, because I'm like, she's just like, want to sleep together, and I'm like, no, because I want Luna. So I think Luna, but Luna, like, that's a Bernie slow burn. Yes. And so I'm like, is it going to happen? Like, have I played my cards right? Yeah, no, I feel like with Ciel, like she's still like emotionally processing stuff, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm like, I don't want to take advantage of that. No hate to people who are romancing Ciel, she's fire. But like, I'm like, no, I'm not getting near that. Whereas I feel Lune, I'm like, I really like this. I really like this Verso Lune thing going on. I like that.
Interesting. Lune is very like mother. Like to me, she's like mother.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, I don't know. But Ciel, I think it happened by accident. I didn't realize I went into Expedition 33 blind. So I accidentally like locked myself in with Ciel because she was just like, you want to have an adventure? And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah, you're hot, I'll do it.
Whatever happens. I didn't realize it was going to go that far, but I was just like, oh, okay.
Those camp scenes are my favorite thing. Like when you unlock a load and I'm like, yeah, do I want to spend time with Ciel? Yeah, I do. Like I get so excited about them.
Yes.
They're so beautifully written. But Lune being mother, she is so mother. And like I am like we're all like universally in love with Lune, right? Like she's but what's really beautiful, she does remind me of Jen Yen a lot. Jennifer said Jen, and so it's like this weird thing of being like, but it's Jen. Like she reminds me of her so much. But what was I going to say? No, I can't. All I was thinking about was I've unlocked 2 hairstyles for Lune, and I'm like,
yes.
I'm going back to like, which one do I prefer though? Like it's weird like how deep and complex and beautiful this game is, and then you're also equally excited about the hairstyles and the combat, and you're like, but I haven't unlocked that weapon, and should I go back and get it? And you know, like I love the depth of it all and how you can swap from one thing to the other.
It's so wonderful. I love that you have to save the world, but you can also have a baguette like on your back. Like I love it.
Verso has we're going into the paintress scene. Like we've just met her, done the fight where you can't beat her, and like it's all so serious. And Verso with his baguette on his back and his little black sunglasses, like
incredible. I love when games do that, when it's like everything is on fire and the world's about to end. But here's your little accessories and here's your little hairstyles. I love it so much.
I remember watching, I wanted to watch before we started playing the game, I wanted to watch some of my Shadowheart scenes, and I found and I think I wanted it for like a reel or something. So like I found this like really beautiful scene. I think it's like her talking about her parents or something, and she's just got clown makeup on. I'm like, here's my... Like I poured my heart and soul into that. I poured my heart and soul, and she's got fucking clown makeup on. Brilliant.
Perfect.
Great.
No notes. 10 out of 10. Game of the year. This is such a hard pivot back, but I wanted to ask, what was the hardest scene for you to record?
The end.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That felt like a lot of this game feels quite like Greek tragedy, not in a ridiculous way, like in a kind of ancient human way, in a kind of and like having to get to that huge emotional place. I'm not talking like the end scene, I'm talking the bits leading up to the end scene. And that like getting to that like depth is not something you're asked to do as an actor very often. Like you're not watching, I don't know, Succession and getting to that level of like, I don't know, like almost primal emotion.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of games. I like when as actors do we get to do that? Like it's a beautiful honor. And yeah, but it was like, of course, hard and hard to shake off. So yeah, it would be that for sure. Yeah. Hopefully not with a baguette on her back. Please remove that.
That I think that you should add that scene to your reel, but there has to be the baguette. I feel like if you're going to do clown, Shadowheart, baguette, Myel. Like, I feel like that's perfect.
What is this actress? What's she doing?
So now that you have Shadowheart, BAFTA Breakthrough, you have this beautiful game under your belt that I am looking into, not to Nostradamus this too much, but just seeing like we'll be seeing a lot of Expedition 33 at award season this year for sure. What is next for you? What would you like to do? What kind of character would you like to play? Like, where do you see yourself going from here?
I think I'm really lucky to play protagonists. And I think I'd like to be given the chance to shake that up. And I played this really wonderful character called Carlotta in Wuthering Waves. And I had no idea it was Wuthering Waves when I got this audition. I just got this character through and I was like, oh my God, she's fantastic. But part of her, hopefully this isn't too much of a spoiler, but like for those wishing to play it, but like there's a like a shadow side of herself, which is very dark and twisty and deliciously dark. And I really loved that. And I'd love to play that, kind of sort of not Shakespearean villain, but like someone who enjoys themselves a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I play a lot of, I play like, oh wow, I play the leads, but like, you know, I like, it's very much the heroes. And so I think I would like to play something far from that and just really enjoy playing with that. But like, even just doing stuff that isn't in my own accent would be really nice. I used to do a lot of accent work, and especially in Divinity, and I don't get those auditions through yet. So I'd like to play with just different sides of myself, I suppose. But you know, I'd love to do a kind of southern, I don't know, someone from like Appalachia or something. Do you know what I mean? Like someone really different. But I also, like, I've done so much fantasy, and I think I'd love to, you know, I love fantasy, but I'd love to try something else as well, and you know, do a zombie apocalypse, or, you know, like just something different. Saying that, I love fantasy, so it's really hard to not be drawn to those roles and just go like, I fit here. So yeah, I don't know. I think I've been really lucky in that all of this work has found me. Like, I've never pursued, like, everything kind of has not fallen. Like, it's taken such a long time to get to this point. Like, it's not like I've been, like, you know, fighting off all these offers. Like, I have grafted, but then a lot of that is luck and privilege as well. You know, like, I'm from a family that really invested in my creativity and really celebrated that. So, you know, that is a huge privilege in itself. And so I can't remember where I was going, but basically, I like, the work has kind of found me, and games have certainly found me. So yeah, I'm hoping ones that kind of shake things up a little bit find me too. Yeah, we'll see. But I tend to not go for stuff too much, because then I think once you've got it, you're like, well, now what?
Yeah. That's good. That's good advice. And for everyone listening, that's some anti-heroes, some villains for you. Yeah, here we go. She's available. She's here. Thank you so much for chatting with me today and being so open about Myel and bringing yourself to this role. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to finish the last 3% of this game. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for a lovely interview. It's been gorgeous.